and welcome to our first Facebook Live chat. My name is Katerina Henderson, and I'm a recruiter in the Uniform Recruiting Unit. The York Regional Police is hiring some huge numbers for 2017. In fact, this will be our largest hiring year in over a decade. We're looking for candidates who not only represent the values of our organization, but represent the diverse community that we serve. There really is no better time to apply to York Regional Police. Today we're going to be chatting with 3 of our newest recruits.
Hello everybody, Pedro Bernardo, one of the new recruits for this class 216. I'm working at 1 district.
Hi, I'm Megan Cook, and I work out of 4 district in Vaughan.
I'm Trevor Searle. I work with Megan at 4 district out of Vaughan, and we were all in the same recruiting class.
We're going to be taking questions online throughout the session, so please feel free to send your questions as we go along. So what did you guys do to prepare for career in policing?
So for myself personally, I'm always a big advocate of getting as much research as possible at any time I go about doing something. So I went online and went onto the Regional Police's website, did as much research there as I possibly could about the careers and the recruiting process. I spoke to a number of police officers that I know my personal life and got a lot of advice there, and then really just Googled and looked things up and I wanted to be as prepared as possible, so I did a lot of research.
Yeah, same with me. Reached out to officers that I knew, have some close family that are officers and great resource. You go to the About section, you can check out the mission, vision, and values. There you get an idea of what YRP is looking for in a good candidate, and as well talking to officers that I knew, whether they were friends or family, and getting an idea of what the job, what the career was actually like, to see if this was something I really wanted to do.
Yeah, I think the same as they're saying, like having the website, because that wasn't my primary resource. The website had all the information that you need to apply for the job, the requirements, and what you're looking for. Do some research online, and definitely if you have any friends or relatives that are police officers that are in the forces, talk to them. It's a great resource, and they'll definitely give you great advice.
What sort of education did you have coming into the process?
While I was applying, I was just finishing up my last year of university. In fact, I started university, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. My first 2 years were in philosophy, but then right around the time where I was deciding that policing was something I wanted to do, I changed my major. I went into public administration. I got a minor in business, and while I was attending Ontario Police College this past summer, I took a trip to Ottawa in June and got my degree.
Well, congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome.
During the process, I was still working on my PhD at the University of Toronto, trying to finish it. It is, I had a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, and I truly believe that those were assets during the process.
Approximately 90% of our applicants and 95% of those we hire do have a post-secondary education, so it is definitely considered an asset. Those who don't have a post-secondary degree will have either military experience or vast life experience coming into the process. Our Chief of Police is a huge advocate for continued education. One of the perks for working for the York Regional Police is that upon the Chief's approval, we will pay for a portion of your continued education as long as it relates to your duties. Megan, what kind of experience did you have coming in?
So my situation was a little bit interesting in that, unlike a lot of my fellow recruits and colleagues that I met, I didn't have any kind of policing experience either in my education or in my professional life. I actually, before I became an officer, recently, the past 10 years I ran my own photography business, mostly doing weddings and portraits and that kind of thing. So that was one of my concerns coming into policing, is that, I don't have any kind of background experience. But as it turned out, a lot of the skills that I gained from running my own business and especially learning how to deal with people and during very stressful times like weddings and having to make quick decisions and be confident and do all those things, all that made like a really big difference and was a really big asset in applying to become a police officer.
Similar to Megan, in terms of work experience, I didn't have any security. I didn't have any, I guess, law enforcement type roles, but I did have some experiences in the government. I worked as a page in the House of Commons. I worked a job with the Canada Revenue Agency, but then probably the biggest one was that I was a civilian with York Regional Police and their summer student program. The program is one where post-secondary students can apply and fill in roles during the summer. So my first summer, 2014, I worked in legal services, and in 2015, I worked for special events. And that was a great opportunity, getting a chance to understand what the organization was about and really how those values work on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, we all had different paths in the past, and I was working in University of Toronto as a teaching assistant and worked in my studies. Once I decided to become a police officer and invest in this career, I applied for the job at the University of Toronto Campus Police to get the experience and exposure to the police world. I really liked the job, and I found that's what I was looking for. And then after a couple of months, I decided to apply to York Regional Police, and I'm very happy to be here today.
That's great. So if each of you guys want to become police officers,
Well,
Who wants to take this one?
I'll go.
Okay.
So for me, my grandfather was an officer with Toronto Police, and so I grew up having great respect and admiration for what he did, and it was always something in the back of my head that I thought to myself, like, I really wish I could do that, I really want to do that, and for whatever reason, I think I talked myself out of it for a long time, but as time went on and as I met more and more police officers just in my personal life, I realized that this was what I was meant to do, and I've always wanted to do something that made a difference and help people, and I decided, you know what, it's time, let's do it, let's go for it, so I did.
it's funny that you say that because a lot of our candidates actually do this and apply as a second career for them and a little bit later in life, so that's great.
It's a little bit different, I guess. As I said before, I went into university, as I think many people do. You finish high school, you go to university. Halfway through university, people are asking, what do you want to do afterwards? And I have no idea. And it wasn't until someone very close to me suggested, have you ever tried being, or have you ever considered policing? And it was like a light bulb went off. That moment where policing didn't just become something exterior, it became a real possibility, something I could do. It lit a spark, and I kept researching, I kept going on the website, and the more I looked into it, the more I decided, policing was what I was meant to do.
Yeah, for me, what's made me decide to become a police officer is that I'm a person that always like to help people. And one of my friends that is a police officer, he told me when I was applying, like, our job is, the majority of the time, is helping people. Yes, we catch bad guys and bad things, but most of the time we're dealing with the public, we're talking to people, we're finding missing persons and stuff like that. And that's really very rewarding. And that's why I applied.
Tell me about some of the volunteer work you guys participate in.
So while I was in Ottawa, I did some volunteering with some disadvantaged youth. It was just an after-school program once a week. Signed up through one of those, volunteer Ottawa websites, not knowing what I'd get myself into. But it was incredibly valuable because I got to see those that had maybe a different upbringing than I did. Got to experience a good diversity of people and that feeling of really giving back. So again, right around the time I was looking at policing, I knew that volunteering was a big part of that. And that was one of the first things I did was, okay, how can I show that I have that commitment to the community? I always did, but sometimes it's, you're in university, maybe volunteering isn't the first thing you're thinking about. So that was one thing that I did.
Go ahead.
Well, for me, volunteer, I started at the Royal Ontario Museum in Toronto as I had my degrees in biology, and I always loved kids. being an educator and being able to talk to them about what we do behind the scenes was always good. So kids from all the ages, they come, and it's good to give your time. And I also volunteered at Canada Blood Services because it's very important what they do, and there's always a need for blood, and they need people, and unfortunately they're very underfunded, and it's always good to get volunteers and be out there and helping.
So for myself, I volunteered with the Women's Center of York Region, and really just doing whatever I can in the office there, answering phones, helping with paperwork, helping out clients when they come in through the door. And then the other thing that I did was actually something that I'm pretty passionate about. I train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and so for a while now I've volunteered my time to help teach or help coach the kids' classes. And I found that to be incredibly rewarding. It's a great skill that I've learned and that I'm continually learning. And it's just really nice to give back to the kids and help them out with that too, and sort of foster that passion with them as well.
And I want to say too with volunteering, it doesn't always have to be like this big commitment. I did quite a few like events, just sign up for a 6-hour shift or something on a weekend, like a run to conquer cancer or something like that, where you go, you donate your time on the weekend, but then you still have all the time during the week if you have kids or if you have your work. You make it work if this is something you want to do.
Yeah, we actually frequently get asked what type of volunteer work we're looking for in a candidate or what the minimum number of hours we're looking for. We tell everyone the same thing. Do something you're passionate about. You're not going to be paid to be there, so you may as well do something that you like. Community is one of our 7 values, and any community service is an asset. It doesn't need to be in your region. We're just looking for candidates who are engaged and committed to their community and want to make a difference. How do you think your volunteer work is now going to help you in your policing career?
For me, working with the Women's Center made it a little bit more real to see some of the struggles that some of my fellow citizens, so to speak, are going through, and just understanding that there are so many people out there that do need help every day. And as a woman myself, some of the struggles that are specific to women, that was a big part of it. And in terms of helping out kids, just knowing how to deal with children on this job is very important. One of our fellow recruits, I think on his first week on the job, had to help out some babies and stuff. So that was, knowing how to handle kids and deal with kids and talk to them and teach them, and also at the same time knowing how to get them to sort of do what they need to do, but not in a too stern manner. Sometimes that's important. So that for me was a big benefit.
Yeah. So as I said, with the youth that I was helping out with, I think the big thing was just understanding where they're coming from, their upbringing, having developing some more compassion towards people who have been in more difficult situations, and that's huge when you're out on the road. Police officers, we're given a lot of power, and how we use that, we have discretion, and having that compassion at times can be very valuable while we're out there.
So I know you touched on this earlier, but was there anything else that specifically you did to prepare for the application and recruitment process? So I know, Pedro, we were chatting earlier and you were talking about how you went to school in Brazil, so there were some challenges you experienced when you applied with your education documents?
Yeah, I was born in Brazil, living in Canada for about 6 years, so when I decided to apply to work all my degrees, from high school all the way to my master's degree, I did everything back home in Brazil. So as part of the requirements, I had to get the qualifications translated to the Canadian equivalent. But the process was very Yeah, it takes time, takes patience. You have to have the original documents. You need to get them translated. It is a lengthy process. On the your original police website, there's all the information you need. The website that you can get the equivalent. But I wanted the job, right? I wanted to be here, and it is. I'm saying to everybody, don't let that be something that will stop you to go forward. It takes time, it takes effort. I had to call my mom in Brazil to go to my high school to get the certificate.
Yeah.
But it pays off, and it's a process, takes time, but you have all the information on the website that will help you.
We absolutely can't stress enough how important it is to be prepared for the recruitment process. Do your homework before you apply. Review the mandatory documents checklist on our website. Be familiar with your education, your employment history, your driving history, and your past. And please read the instructions carefully on the application form. Did any of you experience any challenges during the recruitment process?
One of the challenges I had was basically the location that I was living in when I was applying. So I always knew that I wanted to apply for York Regional Police. I was living in Ottawa at the time. So, for the pre-background questionnaire, it was on a Thursday night. I was working Thursday morning in Ottawa. So packed up the car, drove to do the pre-background questionnaire, and I had work the next morning. So, turn around and drive back. So it's a challenge. You might see it as an inconvenience, but if it's this career and
Now that you're here,
now
it was
that
worth
I'm
it.
here, absolutely, it was worth it, and you do what you have to do. So one of the challenges is the distance, but you make it work, and you can talk with the recruiting office. They understand. They sent out recruiters, background investigators to Ottawa. So they understand that people are coming from different places.
Absolutely. Anyone else have any challenges?
Yeah, for me, I think the fitness was a big challenge. I was never an athlete, and I was dedicated more to the education, to my degrees, and to work. But again, as Trevor said, if that's something you want, so I started, to prepare for the prep test, for the ATS testing. I went to English school to improve my English, to be able to pass the writing test. I had, going to the gym every day in the morning, in the winter, -20, going to the gym, going for a run, trying to get every day a little bit more to be able to pass the test. Maybe you won't be able to pass in the first try. I was fortunate to do it, but some of our colleagues that were hired, they weren't, and they didn't give up. And it's just a process that you have to keep going and then believe in you.
I think, did you have any challenges with any?
Yeah, one of the things that I found challenging was part of the pre-testing that you go through with ATS before you can apply. It was a bit of a shock to me because part of the testing, there's a lot of math involved. And anyone who's ever known me my entire life knows that I can barely add 2 and 2 together. So having to all of a sudden go back to my high school memories of algebra and figuring all that stuff out, that was a bit of a shocker. But having said that, I wanted to be successful, and I looked up a number of different resources and studied and practiced and practiced and practiced. There was some online practice tests that I did, and that came in really, really handy, because when it came down to going to write the test, I was ready. So just do your research, study, practice, and as Pedro said, I had a bit more of a fitness background with jiu-jitsu, but running has never been my strong suit, and running is a huge component in a number of fitness aspects of testing. So I made sure to practice running, and I even found a link for an audio file that was the beep test. And if anyone has ever done that in high school, it can be a bit of a challenge, that test. But I downloaded the audio track, and that way I measured it out, and I practiced. And that way I knew going into it that at least I would pass that. So just do everything you can to practice and be ready.
So for those of you who aren't familiar with the testing that Megan's referring to, so the OECP Certificate of Results is a mandatory document that is required for your application. It's comprised of a variety of tests that is conducted by Applicant Testing Services. Further information about that testing can be found at applicanttesting.com. So how did it feel when you got the call with your job offer?
Wow.
Best day. I remember the exact day. March
Yeah,
10th.
we'll never forget.
March
March
10th.
10th.
March 10th.
So what happened?
I think I was in bed still. And phone call comes and I answer and I find out that, what are you doing April 4th? Because that's your first day of training. And oh my goodness, thank you so much, sir. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And just trying to be professional and keep it all together. And then as soon as I was off the phone, it was, oh my God. Call my mom and trying to play it cool with her too. And oh yeah, well, I just got this phone call, no big deal. And then freaking her out with it. And it was very exciting. I immediately jumped in the car, ran down to go see my mom, got a big hug from her, telling all my friends. It was amazing.
I know it's my favorite part of the job is being able to call you guys at the end of the process. I can only imagine how you feel. Trevor, tell us about your call.
My call was nice because I received it from an officer who currently works for York Regional Police. So it was that personal connection too, that hey, you're joining, right? Like you've made it. Excitement and also just a little bit of relief too, because I think when you start the process, you're putting a lot of yourself out there. You don't want to fail. You don't want to have to explain to people that you've been, that you weren't selected. Yeah, and even though I was very fortunate to get that call, people that haven't, it's important to just pick yourself up again and go back at it, because maybe it wasn't your time before, but maybe now's your time.
Lots of people try multiple times.
Exactly. And a lot of it too is out of your control. I think that was a big thing too, realizing that you have control over certain things in the process, like your research, like your homework, but you don't have control over whether YRP is hiring at this point or how many they're hiring. So, if it's your time, it's your time.
Yeah, I remember the call. I got the phone, it says unknown. And that's typical, so if you get an unknown call, could be. My heart, every time I get that, I was like, oh, they're calling. So I answered the phone, and then the officer says, yep, you got hired, you still want to work for us? I'm like, absolutely! It's like, it was a big moment, and I was really happy. So after we spoke, I talked to my family, called my wife and my brother.
Yeah, everybody, that's great. So what did you like best about your training at the Ontario Police College?
One of the best things for me, besides being with the other recruits from York, because we had a really strong bond, was that our liaison sergeants there, they took really, really good care of us. And they really helped us out. I know not just me, but some of the other recruits as well. It's it's a challenging time going through training, and a lot of things are scary and unknown, and there's a lot of pressure. And they were amazing at helping us out whenever we needed anything, and just making us feel calm and helping us prep for exams and answering any questions we had. And that was a huge benefit for me.
So what's a liaison sergeant? Like, is that specifically what they do? Is that at their
so
they're just for you?
Yeah, they take care of the York recruits. Every service has their liaison sergeants that look after their services recruits, and I was really, really impressed with ours. They were just super, super supportive. It was great.
Now, to rewind prior to the Ontario Police College, so you guys had about 5 weeks of pre-training with us?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. How do you feel that prepared you for the Ontario Police College?
I think those 4 or 5 weeks before were huge in terms of getting us used to some of the smaller things and making sure that we had a foundation for us to succeed while we were at Ontario Police College. And it could be small things like how to take care of your uniform in terms of ironing and and polishing your boots so that you pass with flying colors in the morning inspections. Those little things are big deals when you've never done that. Also, some of the things we covered were our various arrest authorities, an introduction into some of the pieces of legislation, and for the first 3 or 4 weeks at Ontario Police College, it was a bit of a review. It was a bit of making sure we really understood what happened in the pre-training.
But I guess having all that knowledge before and coming in prior to going to Ontario Police College, it really prepared you and allowed you to excel while you were there.
It did, and it also allowed us to take on maybe some leadership roles within our own classes, because when you go to the Ontario Police College, you get separated into different classes. So I was with Megan. We were in the same class, but Pedro was in another class with recruits from all across Ontario.
That's good. You guys got to know each other before going there as well. So
Huge.
were there any other things that separated your regional police at the Ontario Police College?
Yeah, I think the bond we create, those 5 weeks prior, during the training and the challenges, most of us, I think everybody besides 1 or 2 that had experience with military, we didn't know anything about ironing uniform, polishing boots, studying criminal code and the authorities. So having those 5 weeks together at OPC, we were like a family. We were together. We had different challenges on our personal lives because it is hard. Some people decided to stay there. Some people, like myself, was coming back every weekend because I had family. But the bond we created between the York recruits was something that I didn't see with other forces. We were pretty like a big family.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So how did you feel at your graduation?
Oh God.
Yeah.
I was probably the best day of my life. I'd say, my family's there, you're in uniform, and all of your training and everything you've kind of through the recruiting process and applying and the testing and training and everything and polishing and push-ups and everything leads up to this day when you shake the chief's hand and get your badge and you are now a police officer. And immense sense of pride, marching down the aisle and seeing my family there, the looks on their faces. And I was fortunate enough that my grandfather, who, as I mentioned previously, was with his retired Toronto police officer. He got to come up on stage with me and present me, sort of do a ceremonial presenting of my badge to me, and that was like, there are no words to describe how amazing that was, and I think about it all the time. I have to only think about, maybe I'm at home by myself, I get a little teary-eyed, but just the best day, best moment.
Yeah, that's a big feeling of accomplishment. We went through all the process of the hiring, the ATS, for me the documents and OPC, and after we came back from OPC, more training. So it was a great moment. I had my mom coming from Brazil,
Oh,
which
wow,
was
that's amazing.
yeah, it was amazing, and she was super. She didn't understand any word, but she was crying. And it is a big moment, and definitely very happy.
Yeah, it was an amazing moment, and it's almost like it's turning a page in a sense, because for a lot of people that was maybe the last time that we saw our entire class together was that night. So it was really turning a page on the training experience, realizing how far we've come, but also that the next chapter is going out on the roads and your first day when you get all suited up and you go into the parade room and you're like, oh my God, what do I do now? So that's a whole other topic.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about that now. So you've been on the road now with your coach officers for what, 6-7 weeks now?
About that.
Yeah. Okay. So tell us what types of calls you've already gone on.
Ooh, I had a very exciting first block and first month. the district that Trevor and I work out of, Ford District, is very busy. So my first day on the job, I was helping to I had to wrestle a suspect down to the ground and get cuffs on him, and he did not want that to happen. So it took a little work, but that was my first day, and then within my first block of shifts, I was on a homicide scene. And the next block after that, I was working on helping dismantle a grow op. And since then, it's just been kind of nonstop. Like every shift is completely different. New challenges, new people, and I think about like all the things that I've already done, and it's only been 7 weeks or
7 weeks,
something.
yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, holy moly! So it's
Throw you right in there.
pretty much, yeah, which is great. That's why we get into this job, right? So it's been awesome for me.
For me, I think I also had like pretty much almost everything already, and what caught my attention most, well, we help a lot of the hospitals with patients when they need it, missing persons, and we happened to find one of the girls. She was a 9-year-old girl that was missing. Me and my coach, we were able to find her in the park, and it's just yeah, it is an amazing thing. So yeah, there's that call, those calls, catching the bad guys, and there's always the calls of like helping and being the difference in the community and having that touch.
Now, you're surprised at how many other units and other resources are involved in some calls?
So huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many working parts in just one call, but it's unbelievable.
Yeah, for those big calls, you have all the support you need. Like there have been calls where both ERU, emergency response unit, or K9 unit, and our air unit was on the call that I was on, and you kind of have to almost stand back a little bit and be like, look at all the help we have. It really is a big team when you're out there. You definitely feel that with people on your shift, in the parade and then out on the roads, but definitely anytime there's a big call, you just get that experience with the whole region and their team coming to help.
What sort of things have you learned now one-on-one with your coach officers, as opposed to the training that you did leading up to that?
That's a really good question.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I learned with my coach is how to be a person first, and because we training, we learn all the authorities, we learn all the powers we have, and what we can do, what we can't. But being out there and talking to people and helping to solve the problems, I think that's the big lesson that I had.
My coach, I've had a few coaches, just because of scheduling and whatnot, but the thing that I've learned is that there are many different ways to solve a problem, and everyone sort of approaches problems a little bit differently. So sometimes there's no one right, true answer. There are a bunch of different avenues to get to that solution, and everyone sort of helps each other out, which is really great. Everyone's constantly asking everybody else for help, and it's a good team.
And I echo both those things as well. What I would say too is, although training does an amazing job in terms of giving us exposure to a lot of different calls and a lot of different scenarios, but a scenario can't really replicate when you're out there and you have to take into account all these different things that are going on. And just having a coach right by your side, guiding you and kind of nudging you in the right direction is huge. And really, you take that example from your coach in terms of how they handled that situation, and there's going to be a lot of times you have no idea what you're doing, and that coach is right there.
Yeah.
So approximately how long now will you be with your coach officer?
left or
Yeah,
in total?
or in total, yeah, in total. So we have a rough idea of approximately from start date,
3
training.
Yeah, it's about 3 months.
I think we have, it's about 50 to 60 shifts, and I guess depending on how you do vacations.
Okay, so yeah, it could range anywhere from 3 to
3 to 4.
3 to
4
4 months.
months to coach, yeah.
Okay, and then you did 5 weeks of pre-training, about 12 weeks at the Ontario Police College, and then you mentioned there was training after.
Yeah, 4 weeks we had after OPC.
Yeah, yeah, and then once we're actually done with our coaches, we still we do more training for court as well. So we are super prepared for everything, which is great, which is really good because at least we're not going into this.
And that's something that it's set as a part of other services too, because at OPC, when we talk to other recruits from different services and we mention like, yeah, we had this 5-week training and all that, they're like, really? I just got hired a week ago. I don't just keep my uniform. So that is what sets York Regional Police from the other forces. We're constantly investing in training and making sure we're striving for excellence. And
Now the important question, were you getting paid from your first day of training?
Yes.
Absolutely.
that's the best part.
Yes, we were.
Yeah.
And also too, with getting paid, but the benefits. So
Yeah.
York Regional Police has an amazing benefits, system package. I already use, the massages from, the belt and the vest can be a little heavy. Yeah, a nice little massage after.
And the benefits are extended to the families too, which is amazing.
Which is huge. Yeah.
And being paid to learn. We're used to the opposite, right? You're paid to study and you're actually paid to study.
And doing what you love,
Yeah.
and a career we always wanted to do, it doesn't, I know we're very new at this point, and there might be some senior officers a little farther down, but just stepping back sometimes and realizing how much fun we're having,
Yeah.
and then we're getting paid to do this. It's,
What other reasons did you choose York? What made you choose York?
I've been born and raised in York. So for me, it was a sense of community and really like a comfort level for myself. I felt like I knew this region and its people better than others. And for me, that was an important thing that I felt would make me successful working in this region.
the big thing was I worked 2 summers there. I got a very good understanding of York Regional Police. There really wasn't another service that I was interested in. I only applied to York, which just made getting that call that much nicer.
Yeah, I applied for York because it is a region that is growing pretty fast, and new developments, new jobs coming, new schools being built, and I've planned in the future and looking forward, and think there will be needs for more and more officers. There will be opportunities for us when they be promoted. So it's definitely, we don't have any struggle like other forces that they can't grow anymore. We're actually expanding.
Yeah, we definitely have lots of specialty units to choose from. And what sort of shifts do you guys work now?
Yeah, the way it works is it's 4 on, 4 off. So your first 2 days when you're working, you work days. So either 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. or what I do is 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So you do 2 of those shifts, and then from the time you sign off after your second day, you don't go back to work for a full 24 hours because then you come in for your night shift, which is then 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. or if you're working early, it's 6. You can also get some different shifts now and then. I don't know if you've had an alpha shift yet, so that's for a night shift. That's at 3 p.m. to 3 a.m. You can also work that one.
And that's considered a block, so the day, night is considered a block.
Yes.
So if you were to book a block off,
You get 12 days off.
that's very nice.
It is amazing.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Coming from a self-employed background where you don't really, like you can take time off, but when you're self-employed, when you're not working, you're not making anything, and there's no benefits, there's no, there's nothing like that. So this has just been a treat, really, for me. It's been great.
And even working 4 days and 4 off, I mean, it's
4 days
It's
off.
rare, 4 days off, it's a lot of days off, and it's
So you're essentially working half the year, right?
yeah.
Yeah, and that's if you took no vacation,
Yeah.
right?
You
should
get your
have more
vacation
vacation.
time. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. I'm jealous. So we are a large and progressive police service that offers a competitive salary and benefits. There are several job opportunities within your career as a police constable. So if you're hesitant on applying as a police officer because you think you're going to be doing the same things day in and day out, it could not be further from the truth. We're an expansive police service with countless specialty units. You could have multiple careers in your 30 to 35 years of service with us. What sort of career aspirations do you have?
For myself personally, I would love to work in one of those specialized units, something like drugs and vice or high risk. Those would be those are more plainclothes positions. But when I think about the future, that's something that's very appealing to me. Having said that, though, who knows where this career is going to take me? And there's just so many different avenues that I can go down, which is really exciting. So
Yeah, I'm looking forward. I started thinking more on forensics and the
side.
science, but now that I'm on the job and dealing every day, the Criminal Investigations Bureau is something that I really enjoy, being out there with the detectives. Maybe one day homicide unit, things that we can do in the investigate that attracts me.
I'm not sure, and I think I like that because, for me, looking down the future is looking towards the next block and just making sure that I can be the best frontline officer that I can be. I have very short-term goals right now, and I'm just working on achieving that. So first things first is get signed off.
To be on the road, absolutely.
Exactly.
Now, how long would it take for you to get into one of those specialty units? How long would you have to be on the front line?
At least 4 years,
I think so.
because that's when we are first class
Yeah.
police constable. So we start as a fourth class, the three of us were fourth class. And then every year we have training and classification. And then all those units are open. Not all of them, but most of them are open when you're first class. Some of them are more, you need more training. So I think the minimum is 4 years for us too.
That's still not that long, really, when
No,
you're
no.
30-year career after just a few years. What advice would you give to potential candidates?
Be honest and truthful throughout the application. I think that's a big thing. We are a police force, and we investigate people the same way we investigate the candidates. And that's something that I was told by a police officer when I was applying. Be honest, tell the truth. If you have anything that you think it's not important, tell, and then let them decide. But at least they know you're not hiding anything and you're being upfront. And it's one of the values for your region, that's integrity, right? So,
And nobody's perfect, right? Like
no,
everybody's got like a speeding ticket or, but just, if you lie about it in the application process, that's so much worse than just being completely upfront. So, I've heard plenty of stories of people that thought, oh, well, I just won't say that. And it comes out and they've completely ruined their chances. So don't lie, do not lie. And don't give up, no matter what, don't give up because it's absolutely worth it. Like all the nervousness and the anticipation and everything and
The driving from Ottawa.
the driving from Ottawa. Just don't give up because it's absolutely worth it. And that's my biggest piece of advice, just keep at it.
And I would say plan ahead. As we've been repeating a lot, all the information is there on the website. If you know that, the Ontario Police College, they only have 3 classes, right? They start at specific times during the year. So if you know that, give yourself quite a bit of time to do all that applicant testing services requirements and give yourself time for the application with York Regional Police because, York Regional Police gets so many applicants and things just take time. You can be the best candidate that they have, but it's still going to take time to do your background investigation properly. So I'd say plan ahead and then just put in the work in terms of the research and you'll be here.
Like you said, you all attended an information session as
Yeah.
well, so got some valuable information from that.
And even you can go to more than one. I think that's helpful sometimes, right? If you still have questions, you still want to talk, that those are great opportunities to ask questions.
Yeah, don't be afraid to ask questions. I know a lot of people are intimidated, maybe to approach people at the info sessions or just in general. And I had some pretty specific questions about applicant testing and whatnot. And I made sure at the end of the info session that I went to, that I went up to someone and introduced myself and asked for advice. And that was huge. That was absolutely huge.
And Megan, do you have any advice specifically for some of our female candidates?
A lot of the female candidates have a little bit more of a struggle when it comes to the fitness and physical components of testing. Like I said, running is not my strong suit, so that was something that I had to practice. However, saying that, there is also a strength component to the fitness testing, and there's certain things that can be a bit of a challenge for some of the female applicants. And there are certain things you can do to help prepare yourself. Start going to the gym, first of all, getting to do some weight training is very helpful. But the other thing you can do too is there are practice prep sessions that you can Google, look into doing that, and because at least then you have a feel for what the actual test is gonna be. You have a feel for the weight. One of the things I know that women tend to struggle with especially is hand restraint simulator. And it's a bit of a different feeling for a lot of women to do, so just getting the feel for that is important. And don't be afraid to maybe reach out to female officers that you know, or anybody really, and ask for advice and help. Sometimes it's a bit of a struggle being a lady on the job, but it's, you know, it's a great career, and I'm loving it, absolutely loving it. So just don't give up.
Great. Any final comments for our viewers?
Yeah, I think don't give up, as Megan said, for the females and the guys. It's just like, if that's what you dream of, if that's what you want to be. Both of us, we had a second career before, so this is a new career for us. It doesn't matter if that's what you love, if that's what you want to do. We will learn how to run, we will learn how to do push-ups, we'll learn police authorities, and here we are today, and just keep motivated and support of your family, and that's it.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I guess the final word would be that, you know, it wasn't too long ago that we were in the same spot as those that would be watching. And although there are a lot of steps, and that it does take time, if you're committed and you put in the work, you'll be here. And if it's something you really want, you know, you'll make it happen. And maybe this is your time.
Great. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me and providing our viewers with some valuable information and talking about your personal experiences in the application and recruitment process, as well as your training so far on the job. Thank you to our viewers who patiently waited for us while we went through our technical difficulties. We apologize again for having started tonight a little later than we anticipated. If you have any additional questions about the application or recruitment process, please email us at recruiting@yrp.ca. If you have any feedback about tonight's event, any suggestions for improvement, any other topics you'd like for us to discuss in the future, you can also send those suggestions to us at recruiting@yrp.ca. If you're interested in pursuing a policing career, I recommend you follow us on our YRP Recruiting Facebook page. We upload all of our events that we are participating in, as well as valuable information as well. We are hiring large numbers for 2017. I can't stress that enough. This is a great time to be applying. We're always accepting applications. There's no deadline for your application. Further details on how you can apply can be found on the careers page of our website, www.yrp.ca. We encourage everybody to come out to one of our information sessions. We hold them monthly at various parts of the region. All of our upcoming information sessions for 2017 have already been updated on the events calendar of our website and our Facebook page. I hope everybody enjoys the holiday season. Stay safe and please don't drink and drive. Have a good evening.